It has been great to hear about all the efforts here at Notre Dame to help students. We now want to go, though, join the guy I'm calling our marathon man, Joe Theismann, who is beginning a 12-hour shift right now. He is down at the Hiller family midfield set with a Notre Dame grandfather who has a history in the major leagues. Joe?
Jack, thanks so much. I guess today's the beginning of my marathon. I'm looking forward to it. Our next guest is a man who 63 years ago accomplished something very few have ever done in the 150-year history of Major League Baseball. He went directly from high school to the big leagues. Jim Small. Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you on Notre Dame Day.
Good to be here.
Go back to 1955. You're coming out of high school. You decide that you want to go play professional baseball. Why?
Well, I didn't want to go to college.
Why not? Why didn't you want to go to college?
I wasn't a really good student. But I grew up loving baseball. I had opportunity to play in California high school, so I got a lot of exposure. And I had decisions to make. I had scholarship offers to Arizona and USC for baseball, but I just wanted to go play, and I had a chance to go directly to big leagues, which may have been a mistake, probably was a mistake. Should have gone directly to the minors and played, but there was a baseball rule at that time, which I was bound to. It was a bonus rule, and it's probably baseball's biggest blunder. It lasted about 5 years. The successful ones were Koufax, Kaline, and Killebrew. They all made the Hall of Fame. I ended up in the Hall of Shame.
No, you didn't. Not at all. You know, it's interesting. You said that you feel like you sort of made a mistake not going through the minor league process. But yet you had to be good enough in somebody's eyes, the Detroit Tigers, oddly enough. Yeah. You had to be good enough in their eyes to say, I can do this. I can play at this. So what was your strength?
Well, I was the fastest man, one of the fastest men in the big leagues. I could hit, and I had a good arm. I had the tools. It was just a case of under the bonus rule, you were frozen to the big league roster, and for 2 years, and so I wasn't mentally prepared, and physically I wasn't prepared. I was a year away from being physically able to play at that level.
You know, it's interesting because even though we go back to 1955, quite a few years ago, we see a lot of young guys, particularly in basketball. You know, we have Notre Dame guys going on from college, but then we see a lot of high school kids, people like LeBron and Kobe that have gone. And you talk about the transition as an 18-year-old young boy going into a man's sport. Was the transition as difficult as it might seem?
Yeah, it was. You know, here was, I grew up under a curfew, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I end up in New York a week after I graduated from high school in Yankee Stadium with a bunch of characters, older guys.
Characters is an understatement for that group.
And yeah, it was intimidating, very intimidating. But the worst part of it was the hard feelings were that somebody like me took the spot on the roster of someone who maybe had a family and had to go back to the minor leagues. And so that's where maybe some of the hard feelings, and I was being paid well.
Well, that was my next question. All right. In this day and age of economics, we see the hundreds of millions of dollars. What was your first salary?
Well, I signed a contract, a 2-year contract, for $35,000.
Wow, at that time.
It was a lot of money.
That was big money.
Yeah, I turned down $55,000 in a Cadillac from Baltimore because I was 18 years old and I didn't like their hats.
Everybody has a reason why. Right. Well, you go from the Tigers to the Kansas City Athletics,
yeah,
and then you were the first one to go American to go to Japan and play ball.
No, I got traded to Cincinnati from Kansas City. My last year I played was I made the minor league all-star team, and I got traded to Cincinnati. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, they got Frank Robinson, Kurt Flood, and a few other guys in the outfield that had all been in the all-star game. And I says, what am I doing here? So I had an opportunity to go to Japan for a lot of money. And the year before, Major League Baseball in Japan had signed a contract where there'd be no more rating. Right. And so I tried to buy my contract. I couldn't. And long story short, I was a month late getting to spring training. And 2 weeks later, I got rheumatic fever. And I was in bed from April to September that year. Because back in those days, they didn't know what to do. So that was really the end of it. I played 8 years and came to abrupt halt.
It's amazing how it changes that way. And, of course, your connection to Notre Dame. Jim, your grandson, graduated from here in 2008.
Yeah, he's one of the honor guard kids.
And your son, Jim, works here at the university. As a matter of fact, here we are at Jim's brainchild.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much for giving us a chance to be here. It's been great to hear the story. And it's amazing to see what happens when you go from high school right into the big leagues.